Hi guys, it's Ariana. Welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, we are going to be playing around with some of the items that we got in the Boxy Luxe box for December. So I got some items that I'm really excited to play around with. So one of the items is the Hip Dot palette. So if you guys don't know what this palette is, it looks like this. This is the Centinote, I don't know if I'm saying that right, Centinote palette, and it's just such a gorgeous gold and blue themed palette, and it's just so pretty, and I'm very excited to play with it. I did a couple swatches in my BoxyCharm video, so if you guys haven't already watched my Boxy Luxe video, you can go watch that video and you guys can see me swatch some of the shimmers because the shimmers are very pretty. So I want to play around with this palette today, and then I also want to play around with one of the eyeliners that we got. So this is the Rockins Cosmetic Green Glitter Gel Eye Pen, and I want to see if it's going to work in my under waterline area. So I'm very excited to play around with these items. So I'm just going to quickly prime my eyes. So I'm using the ColourPop Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Acid Concealer, and I'm just going to quickly prime my eyelids. All right, so we are ready to go. So I don't really know what kind of look I want to do today. Probably kind of want to play with this color right here, this really pretty shimmer color right here. It's just such a really cool, reflective, kind of grainy gold color, and then the teals are really calling my name as well. So how do I want to do this? I think I'm going to take the color Maya, which is this really gorgeous blue right here, and I'm going to put that all into my crease. So I'm just taking a Luxie tapered blending brush, and I'm just going to go into my crease. So the kick up actually isn't that bad. It seems about normal, so far seems all right. I'm just gonna cap it off and go into my crease. So I've never actually used a Hip Dot palette before, so I don't know how their shadows work. I'm just gonna be playing around with a couple different brushes. I like to switch back and forth, and I don't always tell you guys what brush I'm using, but I switch between a bunch of Luxie brushes. So I would say that it is blending out okay, but it's not as pigmented as I would want it to be. This may be a palette that I might use the shimmers for a lot as like toppers, but not a palette that I probably will do a whole bunch of cohesive looks with, just because it doesn't really seem to have a whole lot of matte shades that I would go for. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it has 6 matte shades, but 3 of them are neutrals, and I really don't use neutrals, so over half of the mattes in this palette I'm not really gonna use. But the shimmers are really pretty. So I'm just building up the pigment so that I get a pretty blue all into my crease. All right, so we have built up the pigment a little bit onto my crease. Now I'm gonna go in with the Luxie tapered, this is the mini angled taper brush. I'm gonna go into the color Sacred, which is this gray color right here. I'm gonna mix it into a little bit of Spirit, and we're gonna make like a dark blue color for the outer corner. I'm just going to put that on the outer corner and blend it into the crease. And I'm just gonna go in with a brush with nothing on it, and I'm just going to blend out the crease a little bit because it's a little bit patchy. So far, I'm not that impressed with the formula. The formula isn't my favorite. You can see it's like super patchy right there. I don't know, this formula is just not so far my favorite. So what I'm gonna do is I want to go over top of the lid with, I think instead of using that green gold color, I wanna use the color Jungle, which is this really pretty teal here. So I'm gonna go into my glitter glue. So this is the NYX glitter glue, and I'm just going to take a little bit onto my finger, and I'm just going to tap that all over my lid. And I'm just going in with a Luxie double-ended brush. I'm gonna go in with my packer side, and I'm just going to pack on the shade Jungle all onto where I laid down the glitter glue. So one thing to look out for with this palette is there is quite a bit of fallout. So I would recommend doing your base makeup second, like I always do, just because there is quite a bit of fallout with this palette, more than I'm used to. So I'm gonna quickly clean up my under eye on this side, recreate this on the other eye, and I will be right back. All right, so I just quickly did the other eye, threw on some lashes and some liner, and now we can go ahead and finish the under eyes. So I think I'm gonna go in with the Spirit color, so that same blue again, that darker blue, and I'm gonna put it underneath my waterline. Just going to sweep it directly underneath and blend it across. Now in the inner corner, I think I'm just gonna go in with a little bit of the color Rain, which is this really pretty silver color right here. And I'm gonna put that in my inner corner. And that is the palette done. So now I want to play around with green eyeliner that I got in the BoxyCharm. So this is the Rockin' Hot Mess Rockin's Cosmetics Glitter Gel Eyeliner. So I'm just going to throw it into my waterline and see if it works. So we just have like a metallic green eyeliner. I think that's really pretty. It's really gorgeous. I don't know if I would use that gel pen as like an eyeshadow because I think you can use it for that, but I've read some reviews and people have said that it doesn't really set down and it kind of stays almost like a gel consistency and it makes a mess. So I'd probably just use it for eyeliner, but I think it gave a pretty look to this eye look. So now I'm just going to quickly throw on a little bit of mascara, throw on a lipstick, and I'll be right back to give my final thoughts on the palette. Alright, so to give you guys my final thoughts on this palette, so this is just a first impressions of this palette, I would say that I'm not really that impressed with the formula of it. The mattes are kind of a little bit patchy. They're not really that pigmented. You do have to build up the pigmentation quite a bit to at least get the look that I went for today. I was going for a really kind of smoky blue look and I had to really build up the matte shadows to get the pigmentation that I was looking for. The shimmers worked really well. I do think the shimmers are really gorgeous, and this is, like I said, a palette that I would probably use as a topper. So if I wanted to go with a blue shimmer look and I wanted this teal shimmer, I would use the teal shimmers from this palette. But it's not really a palette that I probably would make a lot of cohesive looks with that are just straight from one palette. I probably would have to use another palette on top of this one to get more looks that I would usually go for. It's just not really a palette that I'm actually really that impressed with. It's okay. I will do more looks on my channel with this palette in the future, but again, I'm not really that impressed with it. I do think that the Ace Beauté Oceanic palette is very similar vibes to this palette and it does work a lot better. The matte shadows are a lot nicer, they're a little bit more pigmented, and they blend a lot easier. So I would say that if you're looking for a gold and blue kind of palette, I would go with the Oceanic palette over this one. But this one was a decent palette for the price point. So it only retails for 30 USD. So 30 USD for this palette really isn't that bad. It is a really nice palette, it's just not my absolute favorite. So I would say for first impressions that this palette is very inexpensive, but it's just not my favorite. I probably would stick with the Oceanic palette. If you have the Oceanic palette and you were looking to get this palette, I'd probably just stick with the Oceanic palette because you can get very similar looks with that palette if you already have it, and it works a little bit better than this one. So I would say the packaging is really nice. I think the palette is awesome that we got it in a BoxyCharm. I like the fact that it comes with a mirror, but other than that, the mattes didn't really perform as great as I was hoping they were going to. But all in all, I got a decent look out of this. My look looks okay. It is a little bit patchy where the mattes are, but that is what it is. So I would say that all in all, this palette is okay, but I wouldn't rush out and grab it. So that is just my first impressions on it. If you guys got it in your BoxyCharm, let me know down below if you guys had a similar first impressions with it, or if you guys absolutely love this palette, or if there's another way that I can make these shadows work a little bit better. Let me know in the comments down below. But thank you guys so much for watching this first impressions video. If you guys did enjoy this video, please make sure to give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below for more content like this, and I will see you guys at the next video. Bye!